Hello again, everybody. Hope you had a good week. We've got some fun stuff that we can't wait for you to see. Last weekend, we had 9 shares on our message video. That's this many. There are way more of us than that. Way more. So let's see if we can get a few more shares this week. Tell your friends about what we're doing here and invite them in. I'll wait. Oh, hi, new friends. Welcome to the party. Somebody must really love you to invite you here. We are happy to be spending this time together today. We have prepared great things for us to share with you. First, my mom is going to tell you stuff that you need to know, really know.
Hey friends, my name is Megan, and this is this week's absolutely necessary information. I hope you're finding ways to keep it together, and if you have found them, please share them with me. Let's talk about Easter Sunday for the Church of the Risen Jesus. It is certainly going to be different this year than we've ever seen before. We've kicked around a few ideas, and we thought maybe we'd share a few of them with you today. First things first, considering the size of the R building, if we have to maintain a distance of 6 feet apart, we can probably only legally have about 9 people in the building at a time. And my family is already 5, so we're probably going to have a lot of services if we do it there. Which leads us to some other options. We looked for an open field where we could all spread out and just yell at each other, but we were concerned it would look too much like the Hunger Games. Also, allergies. Then we heard someone mention drive-in church, but we thought they said drive-by church, like where you don't even stop. You just drive by and we wave a blessing at you. But Drew couldn't quite time the blessings right on Anderson Highway. He kept blessing the wrong car. And then we really thought we had it settled when we found these great worship robes. We were gonna get this logo printed on them. It would have been great, but we couldn't get them shipped in time for Easter. So they'll be here by the summer. So here is what we are gonna do. We are going to be right here online for a special Easter experience. And we're putting together an Easter worship experience box that you can pick up at the R building on the week of Easter. If you're not comfortable with that, we totally understand. But it will contain a few items to add to the online experience and hopefully make us feel a little more like we're at home together on Easter.
Announcement 2.
Nora, no sleeping. I want to let you know how truly thankful we are for your generosity to Risen Church, especially during this time of uncertainty. Especially during this time of uncertainty. How do you say that word? Especially during this time of uncertainty. Because of your giving, we are committed to serving our community with Risen Church's resources each week that this social distancing continues. This week, we have contributed to Feed More on your behalf. They are feeding the 193,000 hungry people in Central Virginia, which includes a lot of hungry children who typically depend on school for their lunches. Over the next few weeks, we are seeking out essential businesses and employees to support during this public health crisis by sending them lunches. We do not yet fully know all of the ways our community will be impacted by what is happening with COVID-19, and we honestly may not know for a while, but we want to be ready to help in any way that we can. We would appreciate you letting us know if you have any needs or if you come across needs that you think we should know about. Text RoboRisen or email me with any information. And of course, if you would like to give to Risen Church to help those in our community, you can do so by going to risenchurch.us/give.
I'm not wearing one of those suits, but I do like that big field idea. Now we're going to hear from everybody's favorite Risen Churcher, Miss Vanessa and Randy.
Hello, Risen family. It's Vanessa and Randy here. We just wanted to jump on here for a little bit just to give you some words of encouragement and just to let you know that we love you and we miss you and we hope to see you soon.
Yeah, and if you don't come to Risen on a day-to-day basis, just so you'll know, I am normally the guy that's out front handing out hugs and giving handshakes, and that will probably be banned for life now, I'm assuming, okay? But anyhow, and she is normally...
I am normally in the preschool nursery, Risen Kids. And I also would like to say to the kids that I miss you and I love you and I pray for you. I know it's a very difficult time at the moment, but just know that we're going to get through this. Faith over fear. Love you.
And lots of ring pops. Ring pops just cure everything, okay? That's the cure to this whole thing. But look, anyway, just wanted to share quickly with you guys this week with everything that's been going on. I got a couple of emails and things like that that have been reminding me of the story in the book of Matthew, chapter 8, where Matthew and his disciples are all in the boat together and this horrible storm comes up, and the disciples are all running around panicking. They're unprepared for it. They don't know what's going on. And Jesus, meanwhile, is in the back of the boat sleeping. Well, a couple things that stand out to me in that right there is the fact that, first of all, the disciples are human, and we're all human. And with stuff happening that's going on like this, it's okay to be to have a human reaction to all of this. Some of us are afraid for the immediate, for whether or not you're going to get sick from this thing. Some of us are afraid for the long term as to what in the world's going to happen, 6 months down the road. But certainly the first part of the story that can help us out with all of that is the fact that
God has the power to calm the storm.
It's pretty obvious in the whole story, and I think just about anybody who's ever heard anything about Jesus realizes that he does have this power, that he could, with just a wave of his hand, calm the storm, just like he did in the story here, and he can make this whole virus thing go away. But really, that's not what stands out the most to me about this, and it's not what I believe that, what stands out the most to me about this, and what I believe that the Church of the Risen Jesus is all about, is in the second half of the story, which is
Jesus is in the boat with us.
All in the boat together, including the creator of the universe, the Father of all, the one who knows us all the best, the one who said that he would never leave you nor forsake you. So this, as these things progress and as these things go along, let's all do the part that we can. Let's, washing our hands, disinfecting everything, staying social distanced away as much as absolutely possible, and just really praying for everybody out there, praying for our leaders, praying for our country, praying for our community, praying for our family. Know that we are here for you for whatever you may need. We're just a phone call away. And just remember that Nessa loves you.
And remember to always choose faith over fear.
There you go. We'll be back soon. See you guys. Love you, miss you.
Bye.
I miss Vanessa and Randy. I know what you're thinking. Too bad we only get to see those two Mitchells. Well, guess what? We're also gonna sing a song with my best friend, Thomas Mitchell. Take it away, Thomas.
Hold me now in the hands that created the heavens. Find me now where the grace runs deep as your scars. You pulled me from the clay, set me on a rock, called me by your name, made my heart whole again, lifted up, and my knees know it's all for your glory. I might stand with more reasons to sing than to fear. You pulled me from the clay, set me on a rock, called me by your name, made my heart whole again. Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through. Sin has no hold on me. Your grace grace holds me now. And that grace owns the ground where the grave did. All my shame remains left dead in your way. You crashed those age-old gates, left no stone unturned. Stepped out of that grave, made my heart whole again. Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through. Sin has no hold on me. Your grace holds that ground. Grace holds me now. 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 Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through. Death has no hold on me. Your grace holds that ground. Grace holds me now. Grace holds me now. Grace holds me now. Grace holds me now.
I love that song, and I miss you, best friend. I'll Marco Polo you today. Now, my dad is going to talk about Jesus, and I'll see you next week. For now, we should just give air high fives.
Hey everyone, my name is Drew. I am part of the team at Risen Church, and I'm so honored to get to share a few thoughts with you at our online gathering today. So I'm going to get right into it. We bought a bag of coffee right before the schools were all canceled and before we were all urged to stay at home as much as possible and only make trips out that we absolutely had to. And I don't know why, but it's not as good as our usual coffee. Like it seems to taste so different. It's the same brand of coffee that we always buy. It's just a different blend. And honestly, the taste it's gotta be an incredibly subtle difference. But it's bad. Like, I don't want it. I don't want to drink coffee in the mornings anymore because of it, or at least initially I didn't. I told Megan we should just throw it out and move on to the next bag, and she snapped at me. We are not gonna waste anything at a time like this. It was intense. So those are her rules, and I can't go anywhere right now. And socially distanced Megan is different than the Megan that you guys know. She's scary. So I'm drinking it. I'm drinking that coffee. Those are her rules. I've had no choice but to suck down substandard coffee for this whole last little bit. And every morning, it has forced me to reflect on something that you may or may not find helpful. Before we get into some words of Jesus that I promise you will be helpful, I want to offer you some other words that, maybe you'll find these helpful too. Every morning, I have woken up and brewed some not super great coffee. And as I drank it the first few days, I felt kind of angry about it because I really look forward to that morning cup of coffee. It's something I enjoy immensely. And to have it taken away and replaced by coffee that wasn't quite as good was really bugging me. I love my coffee the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? I couldn't wait for the first couple of days until we finished this subpar stuff so that we could move on to better coffee. Right? To get back to the way coffee is supposed to be, the right balance of bitter and sweet, not just all bitter. And then one morning, about halfway through the bad bag, I remembered something that I had heard from a wise old man who lived to be very, very old. I can't remember who he was. I don't know if he was famous or if he was one of you. If he was one of you, he wasn't that old. Or maybe it was Gandalf, or I don't know. But a wise old man had told me the key to living a long and happy life is the best cup of coffee I've ever had is the one I'm drinking right now. He was really onto something. I think he was trying to teach me something. He was teaching the importance of taking personal responsibility for how you experience your experience, how you experience your world. How are you seeing and hearing and feeling things? He was saying if you hate your coffee every day, thinking that yesterday's coffee was better, or that tomorrow's coffee will be better, then you'll never enjoy your coffee. And what a shame that would be. And it won't be the coffee's fault. And I think this highlights something that we should talk about right now. Right now. Right? We should talk about right now. Right now. Not coronavirus, not global shutdowns, not the stock market, not numbers and symptoms and projections. Truthfully, we can't do much about that right now. At least not at the macro level. We can do what we can. We can do what is smart. We can do what we're asked to do by the experts and those in charge. But the circumstances that we're in are mostly about future things that we don't fully understand and that we don't have much control over right now. What we do have some control over is right now. Right now. Jesus says it better than I do. Matthew chapter 6, verse 34, he says, "So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today." So I'm going to break this single verse of scripture down into 3 parts that I think could really help us out today. And as I finish sharing thoughts on each one of these parts, I'm actually going to ask you to pause and reflect. We're going to do that a couple of times this week, just to pause and reflect for a few moments. I know that you would rather me just zip through this because you got other stuff to do today. You got Netflix binge watching to do. You got to get an argument with your spouse over who gets to go to the grocery store next because you both could really use a minute. I know, but I think we need to stop a few times. And I want to start actually before we even read into the text. The first of 3, very brief, just stop and pause kinds of moments. Let's just reflect on this. Let's just think about it. And this first one, maybe let's just breathe a bit. Just take it in. I'm just going to put the text that Jesus said. What did he actually say? And let's read over it. Think about what does it mean? What could he be trying to convey? What is the most loving interpretation that you could give this? And then I'm going to offer you 3 ideas. The first thing he says, don't worry about tomorrow. Now, maybe this doesn't need to be said, but Jesus, when he says tomorrow, he doesn't necessarily mean a literal tomorrow. He's talking about the future. I'm not saying that to condescend anyone. I'm just in case you were wondering about the context, like, is he talking about something that they're all about to go through tomorrow? No, he's talking about the future and using the word tomorrow to explain it. The phrase, don't worry about tomorrow, is just another way of saying, don't worry, right? All worry is future worry. All worry is about tomorrow. Worry is an exercise in futility, not because you can't change anything about the future, but because worry just isn't the way to do it. Worry never robs tomorrow of its sorrow. It only saps today of its joy. See, Jesus is trying to help us lean into something that we all kind of know is true, that our worry isn't helping. I mean, worry is an exercise in futility, not because you can't change anything about tomorrow, not because you can't change anything about the future, but because worry just doesn't do it. Worry isn't the way to change anything about tomorrow. And now I know this isn't very helpful yet. We're going to get helpful, but we have to start here. We can't really talk about the ways that Jesus teaches us to combat our worry until we're all willing to acknowledge that worry isn't helpful. It isn't doing us any good. Until we can all say, I actually don't want to worry. Then whatever advice Jesus has to give us to combat our worry won't be very useful to us. So I want to pause here, kind of early, I know, for a second pause, but what else are we doing? Let's pause. Let's take some moments to really think about this. And I want you to pause and listen to the voice of Jesus inviting you away from worry. Let his invitation to you get lodged in your brain to the point that every time you start to worry, you hear him lovingly inviting you away from it. You hear him saying to you, worry is not what I have for you. That voice that tells you to worry is not my voice. Now, the next thing that Jesus says is honestly kind of funny. The other two things that I'm going to talk about, they kind of have a little bit of a comic edge to them. He says, for tomorrow, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring about its own worries. Wait, what? There's more? I mean, he is basically saying, if you worry about tomorrow today, you won't even be worried about the right stuff. This is so good. Tomorrow has a whole different set of problems that you don't even know anything about. All of your worry right now, it's not even put in the right place. That's basically what Jesus is saying. Now, this is not going to be the most encouraging thing to hear, but it is what Jesus says is true, and I think we all kind of know it's true. Perhaps you would prefer to hear Jesus quote Bob Marley, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be all right. But that's simply not true. I mean, I was advised by my wife not to make this point, but Bob Marley died at the age of 36 of a cancer that originated in his toe, for which he refused the treatment that would have saved his life. Right? It might have been worthwhile to, worry about some things. Don't worry because everything is fine and everything is going to be fine is not the counsel of the scriptures. Don't worry about a thing because everything's going to be... That is not the message of the New Testament. I mean, that's the complete opposite of the realities of everything that happens throughout the New Testament. Things are going to go wrong. One of the reasons I find Jesus' counsel here to be so helpful is that he doesn't try to ignore the fact that things are going to go wrong. He doesn't try to convince any of his followers to stop worrying by lying to them and telling them that everything's going to be fine. Most of them will be severely persecuted for choosing to follow him. Many of them will die for choosing to follow him. Almost all of them will witness him being murdered for crimes he didn't commit. If his message to them is don't worry about a thing because everything's going to be fine, well, then his message isn't even true. But he doesn't give us that message. He gives us something much more useful. He tells them to stop worrying because it's not making anything better. And he tells them to stop worrying because they really have no idea what's going on anyways, and their worry is wasted energy. They don't even know what the future is going to be like. I feel like I need to make a point here to say all of the harsh ways, perhaps, that it seems like the Bible talks about worry, and maybe that it sounds like I'm talking about worry. I hope it does not sound harsh, because truthfully, I've been a little worried a few times in the last couple of weeks. My wife has been a little worried a few times here recently. Worry is a reality for us. The invitation of the scriptures, I believe, is not meant to be interpreted and understood as an admonishment and say, how dumb are you for being worried? Mostly the scriptures say, I see why you would worry. Mostly the scriptures, they don't say, don't worry about anything because everything's going to be fine. They say, don't worry about it because that's really not the most useful way to approach the things that scare us. I read another quote this week that I found interesting and fun, and maybe a good thought experiment for us to take our final pause together and really think through. If you want to test your memory, try to remember what you were worrying about a year ago today. That's a fun little exercise, isn't it? Because for me, I would say about 20%, maybe more like 10% of the things that I used to worry about, or that I worried about a year ago today, seem ridiculous to me now. And then the other 80% or 90%, I don't remember. That should speak something to us, right? About the nature of our worries. I think that's what this quote is meant to say. I think it's some of what Jesus is telling us here. Don't worry about tomorrow because you don't even know what tomorrow is going to be like. You don't even know the troubles that wait for you up there. The stuff that you're worrying about right now, it's probably not even the right stuff to be worried about. It's a strange little thing that we're facing right now, and it's real. There's no point in denying that coronavirus is a big deal. There's no point in denying that this is a global pandemic to some extent. There's no point in denying that it's maybe only just getting started in the United States, and that worse may be coming, that we don't know how many people are actually sick with it right now. We don't know how many people are going to become sick. We don't know how many people are going to die. We don't know if any of us are going to get sick. We don't know if our jobs are going to be impacted. We don't know how our social lives are going to be impacted. We don't know how long this season will last. And many of us are even feeling a sense of sadness and despair about our lives being canceled to a certain degree. It's not a small thing that we had plans, you know? We had things that we were going to do, like concerts we were going to go to and trips we were going to go to and family vacations that we were going to go on and times when we were going to get together and it was canceled, and that's not small, and it's not worthwhile for us to look at it and say, this is no big deal. It is a big deal. There is a lot going on here. And Jesus seems to be saying, I'm not saying that things aren't bad. Jesus seems to be indicating for us, I'm not suggesting to you that your worries are unfounded. I'm only suggesting that worry is a waste of brain real estate. Let's pause for a second here again and just consider Jesus calling us away from worry about the things that we cannot control and cannot change and cannot understand. And then Jesus ends with perhaps what is the best possible advice we could receive in a time like this. Mostly, we've not gotten advice yet, right? We've not gotten anything to do yet. We're just kind of made a case for hopefully considering, I guess maybe my worry isn't actually making a difference, but what would make a difference, Drew? Or what would make a difference, Jesus? What do you want me to do with that brain real estate that I just freed up if I've decided that I don't want to be worried anymore and I want to approach things differently? And again, it's almost got a little bit of a comic edge to it. I think Jesus was funny. He says, today's trouble is enough for today. You're telling me there's 5 people in this house. Do you know what I had to do to be able to sit here and just talk to you for a couple of minutes uninterrupted? Jesus is saying, you mostly feel stressed out and overwhelmed and anxious when you're worked up about today and tomorrow. Now, today can overwhelm you. Today can stress you out, but most of the time, whenever we're really, really bogged down, it's because we're living somewhere in limbo between here and there. Somewhere in the space of, I'm worried about today, I'm stressed out by today, today is not what I thought it was going to be, and I don't even know what tomorrow is going to be like. But Jesus invites us today. Today's trouble is enough for today. All you can really handle is one day or the other, today or tomorrow. And he counsels us to stick with today. That's the only time we've got any control over. That's the only time that we can make any difference. And it's the only time that we can actually really enjoy anything. There's a lot of stuff that's out of our control right now. There's a lot of stuff about the future that's potentially a little scary if you think about it the wrong ways. Potentially a little scary if you think about it the wrong ways. There's a lot of things that we could despair about. There's a lot of things that we could hurt about. Jesus' counsel to us is not, oh, none of that's going to happen. His counsel to us is, your worrying about it isn't going to help it at all. And in fact, it's only going to rob you of your joy today. You being convinced that life will be better somewhere in the future, once we get past this or once this is over, is only robbing you of joy today. So here's the counsel that I want to offer us. We're here, friends. This is it. We're in this. Your life is happening right now. It didn't get put on pause by a virus. The clock kept ticking. It wasn't stopped by a virus. Things kept going. You're here. You're watching this right now. You're with your family or your loved ones, or you're joining in with us as your church, right? We're together in this particular place and time in human history. We're here. Things are not going to start up again after this virus is over. They never stopped. Things are not being held up by what you perceive to be the incorrect reactions of everybody else in your world at this moment. If those are the things that are frustrating you, your life is happening right now. And you are responsible for what you do with this moment. And I believe Jesus' invitation to you is to be here. Right here in this, not trying to get out of it, not how much longer is this going to last. I want to know too, but But his counsel to us, his invitation to us is you don't have to worry too much about that. Your worry won't do you any good there. Look around at where you're at. How can you love best? Right here, right now. How can you find some peace right here, right now? How can you help some people who need helped right here and right now? How can you be in this moment in a way that you could actually experience some joy? So, maybe this isn't the best cup of coffee that you've ever had. Well, whose fault is that?
Thanks for spending this time with us. #TogetherApart. You can share this video on your timeline today if you think your friends might benefit from it. We will be back live this Tuesday night with our question and response time, and I have a few questions myself for that message. Feel free to leave questions in the comments now or text them if you would like to ask anonymously. And one final thing, we have prepared a brand new 3-song worship playlist. Check it out on our YouTube channel and play it every day.